That isn't a bug, that is a feature. They are the Thri-kreen. I'm gonna call them bug people because I'm having a hard time saying their name. Welcome to Pack Tactics. Rejoice in the glory of combat. They are a monstrosity. This again means that effects or specific creature types that are not monstrosities will not work on you. Here's a list again that I showed in my Autognome video. Keep in mind the disclaimer that I mentioned in that video again. Some parts of Finger of Death, Magic Jar, and Soul Cage work. For size, you get to decide between medium and small. That's good. That way you can look at the pros and cons of both of them and decide what fits with the character you envision. You have a walking speed of 30 feet. Sadly, you aren't a grasshopper. Now the features. Chameleon, carapace. While you aren't wearing armor, your carapace gives you a base armor class of 13 plus your dexterity modifier. As an action, you can change the color of your carapace to match the color and texture of your surroundings, giving you advantage on dexterity stealth checks made to hide in those surroundings. The AC thing and the ability to be small are the same as Autognome, so if you want to hear me talk about that, check out that video. I don't want to say the same things. I'm a big fan of stealth bonuses to get surprise on the enemies more often, but be warned, this can be a trap. Stealthing alone is very dangerous. Don't do it. Sending your rogue to scout alone is super duper dumb. If they get caught in a decent sized encounter, chances are very high they might lose their character. Same goes for anyone really. I've had this experience in Pathfinder. I went into a bedroom alone to loot things, and then I found out the whole room was full of mimics. My party had no idea I was in there. This was like 10 years ago. I died and re-rolled a wizard from what I remember. Oh no! You should send a find familiar instead. It's safer for everyone. But Kobold, what does this have to do with advantage on stealth? What I'm trying to say is this does not salvage going alone. And once you are together trying to surprise enemies, this only helps you minimally. For surprise, your entire crew needs to win against the perception of your enemies. So while advantage helps you out numerically, this is a small change in the big picture, especially if your party uses Pass Without Trace, which makes the floor or the minimum result of your stealth check beat the majority of enemies you will face. Advantage will not do much. Flavor-wise, it's cool that you can change based on your surroundings though. But Kobold, chameleons aren't bugs! That's true. That's very weird, but oh well. Next up, dark vision of 60 feet. Cool. But this is what we're here for. The bug people have 2 pair of arms, which is why they get secondary arms. You have 2 slightly smaller secondary arms below your primary pair of arms. The secondary arms can manipulate an object, open or close a door or container, pick up or set down a tiny object, or wield a weapon that has the light property. There are countless combinations here that you get access to, but I'll mention some I could think of. If you have any other ones, let me know in the comments. So first off, you could use this feature to kind of gain one of the benefits from Warcaster. You can perform the somatic components of spells even when you have weapons or a shield in both hands. Because one extra hand could be free to be able to cast spells with somatic components. Spellcasting gestures might include forceful gesticulation or an intricate set of gestures. If a spell requires a somatic component, the caster must have free use of at least one hand to perform these gestures. Then the other extra hand could be whatever is possible. A wild card, I'll depict that as a joker card. Then for your main hands, you could wield a shield and a magic staff you found, like a staff of power or something. Another option is to use the hand you use for somatic components, also to access a component pouch when needed. I know staves can be used for material components by sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards, but you might have multi-classed, who knows. I'll link an article of tabletop builds that talks about components in the comments. you are maybe able to hold the magical staff in one of your extra hands and use your main hand as a wild card instead, which opens up more options. But that requires a question to the DM. Here is the table of object sizes. Maybe a staff is tiny, maybe it's small. Ask your DM. You have a tiny wand. That was inappropriate, but okay. This basically gives you 1 out of 3 benefits of Warcaster, which might make Resilient Con a bit more alluring, but the other benefits of Warcaster are still pretty good. Another option would be to use 1 extra hand for a short sword as well as the other, and then in your main hands, you can have a shield and whatever you want. 2-weapon fighting with style. That reminds me, did you guys know that dual wielding is pretty hilarious with bug people? Look at this. You gain a +1 bonus to AC while you are wielding a separate melee weapon in each hand. I guess you will be wielding 4 different melee weapons if you have 4 hands. Unbending steel. Well, besides that, you can use the same strategy for ranged combat, of course. For that, we swap 1 extra hand to be free to load our weapon. As the rules say, you need a free hand to load a one-handed weapon. In the other extra hand, we put our trusty hand crossbow to pew pew. Then we are once again left with our wild card and shield. One option for the wild card would be a magical staff if you have the prerequisites to use them. Another option would be to ditch the shield and pick up a heavy crossbow. If you have crossbow expert and extra attack, you could theoretically shoot once with a heavy crossbow, once with a hand crossbow, and still attack with the hand crossbow as part of your bonus action. If you're already using your bonus action for something else, like let's say Hexblade's Curse, you could shoot with just the heavy crossbow. This isn't a lot of extra damage, but it is some, and no juggling needed. But a shield probably leads to more damage done per damage taken, which is what we're going for in the end. So we first compared what we could do with Warcaster. I'm now gonna do something weird and compare the second half, where we got to pick up a shield and use weapons with tough. What? Kobold, how are you doing that? One adds 2 AC and the other adds hit points. That's like comparing apples with oranges. Well, they're totally comparable, so let me explain a bit. I've tried to explain the importance of DPR over that of just damage that you do on a hit for quite a while, because, you know, you can miss attacks. What I'm about to do is similar. I'm going to use an abstraction of effective hit points, which is basically the opposite of DPR. It looks at your hit points and takes into account, hey, enemies can miss. The higher the better, you know? For this abstraction, I will keep it simple and divide your hit points by the average hit chance of enemies and compare tough with the ability to wield a shield. You should see some similarities to DPR there. Tabletop Builds talks about this concept a bit more in their article looking at the squishiness of casters, which I'll link in the comments. For the comparison, I look at a character with a D10 hit die, so a fighter or a ranger with a +3 con. For the average hit chance per level, I looked at the CR equal to the level and took the average to hit from Cephalon, which won't be completely accurate, but it's close enough. With half plate and +2 dex, you would be at 17 AC, so a shield would get you to 19 AC. If so, this is how the effective hit points compare between the different options. I hope the different line types makes this readable. I'm open to feedback, it's quite comparable. It's worth noting that the ability to cast shield whenever you get hit, bug people's effective hit points kinda explodes. But this will probably not always be the case. A couple of other things to take into account is that higher AC means you get hit less, and therefore lose your concentration less often. And additional hit points are more useful, like temporary hit points or temporary normal hit points. But hopefully this kinda gives you an idea of the power of that option for your extra hands. Kobold! I want to send my friends to heck! What? Kobold, I'm DMing tonight, and I thought it would be cool if they had a quest in heck. But I've never been there before. I'm having a hard time imagining and describing heck. Well, I know some professionals who have been there before. Professional heck explorers? Yes, this video is sponsored by Describe, where you can get professionally written box descriptions of basically everything, thousands of scenes. You could just look up hell right here and you'll find everything you need. This one is my favorite. You see that, Gator? The open land of complete freedom stretches ahead. Everything done here is entertainment for the malicious and insane. Kobold! It's just like America! Yeah, it's a nice place, Gator. Look, there's even a tavern. For a joint in hell, this place is tidy and well maintained. The smell of cooked meat, dark coffee, and strong alcohol almost hides whiffs of brimstone and nameless filth. Winged fiends and other monsters drink, feast, and dance. A variety of humanoids join the merriment, although the less fortunate provide wicked amusements. Kobold, that sounds like a lovely place. Tidy, smells good, and people having a good time. There also seems to be a nice garden in hell. Let's see here. How about we take a boat ride down there right now so you can see for yourself? Yay! I get to be a professional heck explorer too! By the way, Describe also have maps for stuff like this, like the Dragon's Volcanic Grave would fit very well here, and it comes with an interactive map. You mouse over things and read them. Anyways, let's go, Gator. Kobold, I think my players will love this place. This is so fun. I highly recommend you check out Describe, and if you do, please press the link in the description. That helps me too. Describe.com/packtactics. And if you like what you see, they hope to earn your subscription. Use the code PACKTACTICS at the checkout to get 10% off your first subscription payment. Next is Sleepless. You don't need to sleep at all. You're like a gamer. But strenuous activity is still a no-go. The flavor text says they fully know what is happening around them, so I guess you can be your party's alarm system. I wish I had this feature when making videos. Lastly is Thri-kreen's Telepathy. Without the assistance of magic, you can't speak non-Thri-kreen languages, you know. Instead, you use telepathy to convey your thoughts. You have the magical ability to transmit your thoughts mentally to willing creatures you can see within 120 feet of yourself. A contacted creature doesn't need to share a language with you to understand your thoughts, but it must be able to understand at least one language. Your telepathic link to a creature is broken if you and the creature move more than 120 feet apart, if either of you is incapacitated, or if either of you mentally breaks the contact. No action required. This is just cool. You still get common in another language, but you only understand them, without the ability to speak normally. I think in play, you'll only very minimally wish you had the ability to speak normally, like in an area of anti-magic. But all in all, 120 feet should be more than enough not to be inconvenienced all too much. Additionally, this allows you to be sneaky about speaking with people, and you don't even need to share a language with them. I think it's assumed that willing here means basically the same as willing to be talked to by you. So if a random person is fine with talking to strangers, they would accept this, I guess. People might not allow this because you look like a scary bug person with 4 arms. Well, that's it for the bug people. A pretty original and fun race if you ask me. If you have a free feat at level 1, this is a pretty interesting option. But for marshals, I believe bugbear still remains supreme. Me and Describe hope to earn your subscription. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.